So far in our Composer Bio series, we've discussed some well-known male composers. But did you know that music history is full of important female composers as well? Today, we'll be discussing one such female composer, Jeanne-Louise de Montferrand. Farrenc was the first full-time female professor at the Paris Conservatory. She wrote beautiful chamber and symphonic works, and additionally spent much of her later career editing historical keyboard music alongside her husband, Aristide Farrenc. In this Composer Bios video, we'll discuss Farrenc's life and musical endeavors. At the time of Jeanne-Louise de Montferrand's birth in 1804, the French Revolution had toppled the French monarchy. Napoleon had just declared himself emperor, and French society was trying to determine how to rebuild. As part of this effort, the French government established an artist community in Paris called the Sorbonne. The community included painters, sculptors, and musicians. The Dumonts were a renowned family of sculptors living in the Sorbonne community. As a child, Farrenc studied classics, art, music, and languages. She began studying piano before she was 10 years old, and her first music teacher was her godmother, Anne Elizabeth Ciso Soria, who had herself studied music with Muzio Clementi. In the first half of the 19th century, women could not take counterpoint, fugue, or composition classes at the Paris Conservatory. So, at the age of 15, Farrenc studied these subjects privately with Antonin Reicha, a conservatory professor. Additionally, Farrenc played piano at artistic gatherings in the Sorbonne community, where she met the flutist and music publisher, Aristide Farrenc. They married in 1821. Her first publications appeared in 1824 and were published through her husband's publishing company. The Farrenc's first child, Victorine, was born in 1826. Victorine began her music studies with her mother and became a renowned virtuoso pianist until her tragic death in 1859. In 1842, Farrenc became professor of piano at the Paris Conservatory and worked there until her retirement in 1872. Additionally, her collection of 30 etudes became a staple for piano students studying at the conservatory. She was the first female teacher to be appointed a full professorship, and, upon learning about a gendered pay gap, requested equal pay, which she received. In 1850, she wrote a letter to Aubert, the director of the conservatory.
Sir, about 15 months ago, I had the honor of requesting that you grant me, just as you do many of my colleagues, an increase in salary. And you gave me to understand that you would comply with my request the moment funds became available. It is now almost 2 years since Monsieur Zalard and Franchomme, named professors after I was, obtained an increase. Likewise, Monsieur Gerard, who joined the conservatory much later. Several others in addition have enjoyed the same privilege. I therefore venture to hope, Monsieur le Directeur, that you will agree to fix my honorarium at the same level as these gentlemen, because, setting aside questions of self-interest, if I do not receive the same incentive they do, one might conclude that I have not invested all the zeal and diligence necessary to fulfill the task which has been entrusted to me.
Following this letter, Farrenc's pay was increased to match those of her peers in the piano and string departments. In France at this time, it was highly uncommon for musicians to study, let alone perform, music composed by composers who lived prior to Beethoven. Aristide began envisioning a collection of historical keyboard works and advocating for the study of early music. This collection turned into Les Trésors des Pianistes. Louise Farrenc joined her husband in this endeavor, studying scores and treatises on music from the past. The collection was the first of its kind in France and took several years to complete. The final collection is a comprehensive anthology totaling 23 volumes of harpsichord and piano music covering a span of 300 years. Alongside the pieces were contextual explanations and instructions on the correct execution of the ornaments. After Victorine's death in 1859, Louise Farrenc dedicated herself to editing Les Trésors, rather than continuing to publish her own music. When Aristide died in 1865, Louise Farrenc completed the final 11 volumes of the collection by herself. Louise Farrenc composed at least 50 works, many of which were published through her husband's publishing company. 32 of her works are for solo piano, either as variations, character pieces, fantasies, or etudes. Farrenc wrote 2 piano quintets, scored for piano, violin, viola, cello, and bass. Farrenc also wrote 4 piano trios, a sextet for winds and piano, a nonet for winds and string, 2 violin sonatas, and 1 cello sonata. Additionally, she composed 2 overtures and 3 symphonies. The most popular musical genre in Paris at the time was opera, or variations on opera. As such, Farrenc's genres were not quite in line with the popular taste, and more closely aligned with the Viennese traditions of Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven, demonstrating her knowledge and technical mastery of classical tradition. Despite this, when her works were performed in Paris, as well as elsewhere in Europe, they were very well received. For example, in 1836, her Air Russe Varie, Opus 17, was positively reviewed by Robert Schumann, who wrote, "Were a young composer to submit to me variations such as these by Farrenc, I would praise him highly for the auspicious talent and fine training everywhere reflected in them." I soon learned the identity of the author, rather authoress, the wife of the renowned music publisher in Paris. Small, neat, succinct studies they are, written perhaps still under the eye of her teacher, but so sure in their charm, especially since a subtle aroma of romanticism hovers over them. She even manages to carry off a fugue, with inversions, diminutions, and augmentation, and all this she handles with ease and songfulness. Farrenc regularly hosted salons in which she, her friends, and her students performed her compositions, and as well some of the historical works that were being incorporated into Les Trésors. One remarkable example of a chamber salon she held was in 1850 for the premiere of her nonet for strings and winds at the Erard Salon. The up-and-coming violin virtuoso Joseph Joachim performed the violin part. The concert was reviewed in La France Musicale, which delivered a laudatory account, while also criticizing Parisian music lovers for not appreciating Farrenc enough. It reads, "When Mademoiselle Farrenc gives herself up to her inspiration, she rises to the level of the great masters. And if she had been born in Germany, she would be the object of the most flattering ovations." In the 1860s, Farrenc was awarded 2 Prix Chartier from the French Academy of Beaux-Arts in recognition for her significant contribution to the chamber music genre. Despite the obstacles she faced because of her gender, Louise Farrenc crafted a remarkable career for herself in life, and left a valuable mark on generations of classical musicians and listeners that followed in her wake. She stands as a testament to the value of investigating lesser-known composers in history, and has gifted the world with a legacy of exceptional music and tutelage, worthy of contemporary attention. Thanks for watching. For more music history videos and articles, stay tuned to Liberty Park Music.